Alright, good morning guys. Tush coming at you, 11:50 on Sunday, September the 3rd. Back on the 73 TR6 this morning, and we've got the diff out in the driveway. And we're just about to give it a good scrubbing down with some Pour 15 degreaser. I'll get it looking a little bit better before we swap the axle seals out. I do have some new axles. The ones actually I was going to use for my 250 are going to go into this diff, and then we'll send these off to get the seals renewed. Send them down to Phil in California. Did an excellent job on my 250 ones, so we're going to send the TR6 ones his way as well. And anyway, once we get that done, we'll get this hopefully installed back in the car, and we'll get the sliding axles hooked back up, and sway bar reinstalled, then the exhaust reinstalled, and we're getting pretty close to finishing off our list of spring projects that we're finally getting to in September. Anyway, we'll come back after I get this cleaned up. Alright guys, we've got the differential all cleaned up of all the debris and road grime from the last 10 years. I did paint this case with Pour 15, so it's held up really well over those years. And we painted the rear of this case, I think, with Eastwood Aluma Blast, and it looks pretty good as well. Anyway, for those of you who are not familiar with TR6 diffs, or maybe if you're new to a TR6 in general, this little vent here is important. You can see this little cotter pin. This diff is obviously upside down as to how it would be orientated in the car. Actually, so this would be the top side of the diff, but you wouldn't be able to see this obviously from the bottom of the car, is what I mean. This little vent here is important because a lot of the times this actual hole here and this pin get clogged with debris, and it doesn't allow it to rise and vent the differential itself. So what happens is it pressurizes the differential and it forces gear oil out the seals. So you want to make sure that this vent is clear and this cotter pin moves freely. That's number one. The second thing is, for those of you again who might be new to TR6s, here is the fill port, and again the diff is upside down as to how it would be in the car, this is the fill port. It's the only square plug on the side of the differential, so basically you need to jack the car up until it's level. You need to be able to access this port, and you actually fill through here. What I use is a squeeze can, lever action style squeeze can filled with gear oil, GL4 oil, and just fill it until the gear oil runs out the fill port. Make sure the car is level. So I just thought I'd show you that while we're there as well. So the next thing we're going to do is to take these little flanges off here, and behind this flange on this little axle, this little stub axle in here, there's an oil seal that needs to be replaced. Now, as mentioned, I've already got new replacement axles to go in here. The bearings and the oil seals have been replaced. So it's a difficult job, and often if you take it to a shop, what ends up happening is that they'll put it in a press and apply way too much force and end up bending this flange here, which makes it unusable. So you got to go to a person that really knows what they're doing as far as being able to install new oil seals in these flanges. So anyway, we're going to loosen these 4 bolts off, pull the axles out, one slightly longer than the other. Anyway, I'll show you that when we get to that point. Alright guys, the axle's now out of the diff, and here is the old versus the new. So we've got new bearings and new oil seals in this one. So we're going to install the new axle in the housing, and then we'll do the other side. Alright, the second axle is out, and just a quick look at that. New versus old. So we'll put the new one in, and we've got some new lock washers for the set screws. So should be done in just a few minutes and ready to go back in the car. Alright guys, so the diff axle seals are now done and back ready to go in the car. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to go down and visit Crazy Les. Les borrowed my big floor jack last night, so I've got to go get that back. He's also been working on an old Merc or XR4 Ti, and I hear he's got it running. So we'll take the video camera down and visit Les. So this is a real car engine, right? There's a 2.3 liter turbocharged. What year is it?
Pardon?
What year is it?
86.
86 Merkur XR4 TI. What'd you do? Put a new cam in it?
Performance cam and lifters. A new head.
Okay. And the head's redone. Oh, that's good. All right then. All right, back working on a real car. I shouldn't have said that. So it's nice to see Les get his car running. Again, it's been in his garage there for a few months, so he should be able to enjoy that for the rest of the summer, or what's left of the summer. Anyway, we're going to take the bushings off this sway bar, and as you can see, it's pretty grimy. I did paint this 10 years ago, and obviously it's showing lots of signs of wear, so we're going to give it a cleaning and a fresh coat of paint. So we'll do that, and hopefully if the weather cooperates, we'll try to get the exhaust manifold out and give that a quick sandblast, and we'll give that a quick coat of paint and a bake in the oven today as well. That's the plan. So we'll go ahead and get this cleaned up and stripped down. Alright guys, we're going to start cleaning up the exhaust manifold. We're going to start by removing the downpipe. So we'll remove these brass nuts. As mentioned, I have a new gasket coming for this, so I believe it's going to arrive in my mail on Tuesday. And we can get a start on stripping this. We'll sandblast that. We'll clean up the face of the ports, and like I said, we'll sandblast it and we'll get it painted with some high heat paint and get that baked in the oven. Alright, we've got the downpipe detached from the exhaust manifold, so we're going to take this around the back of the side of the house, and we'll give it a quick sandblast to get all the rest of the rust and old paint off of it, and then we'll give it a couple quick coats of paint and bake it in the oven, and it'll be ready to put back on the car when we get that new gasket. Alright guys, we have the exhaust manifold all sandblasted clean, so it looks not too bad. We also did the sway bar while we're at it, so get a little break in the weather. It doesn't look like it's going to rain for a little bit at least, so we'll try to get this into paint, and then we'll move it inside and we'll get it baking in the oven. So here we go. Alright guys, there's the manifold painted. I just barely got it done before it started to pour. So I've just moved it inside. Unfortunately we didn't get to paint the roll bar yet, or the anti-sway bar. So we'll do that hopefully when it stops raining. But anyway, there's that finished piece. We are going to move it inside to the oven once it's dried to the touch. That should be about an hour or two. And we'll bake it as per the prescribed instructions on the can. Alright guys, the sun's come out again, so we're going to attempt to get the sway bar painted. We've got a coat of primer on it at the moment. We're going to follow that by a coat of gold, followed by a coat of, or a light mist of green zinc chromate and red zinc chromate, and then that's going to be followed by a clear coat. So kind of a bit of a process going on, and we want to have a bit of a cadmium look to this bar. So hopefully we'll be able to get that done before it starts to rain again. Alright guys, just about 6:30, and we've got that sway bar now all painted and clear coated, so we'll just let that dry. And we'll probably bring it in later on tonight into the garage to dry overnight, so we can handle it tomorrow and not scratch it up too badly once we put the bushings on and once we install it back on the car. That's the plan anyway. Here's a look a bit closer up. So again, it's that fake sort of cadmium look. Could be a little more gold, but it's okay. I'm happy with it. Anyway, we'll be back in a bit. Alright, just coming up to 8:30, and the manifold is out of the oven. It's still actually warm to the touch, but there you can see it. I've just put it on there for safekeeping and just put a little nut on there to make sure it stays there. Anyway, it looks pretty good. Hopefully it'll stay like that. I went through the 3 stages of baking it. You got to bake it for half an hour at 250, half an hour at 400, and then a half an hour at 525. I think it asked for 600. My oven only goes to 525. So we put it in for half an hour at 525. So there's what it looks like. Again, like I said, I'm not sure about longevity, but it looks a heck of a lot better than it did, at least for now. Anyway, Les is supposed to be coming over shortly. He's going to bring the big jack back. I've been waiting for that all day pretty much. So we're going to clean this area up a little bit. We got tools all over the place. We're going to attempt to put the diff in tonight. Les said he wanted to do it tonight, so I'm not one to turn down help. So like I said, we'll clean the area up and get ready for Les to arrive. Alright guys, just coming up to about 9:35 and Les has just departed. We got the differential in without too much hassle. It's definitely a two-man job to wrestle that thing in from the bottom. It's also good to have a big hefty jack to lay that diff on to get a good balance point. So yeah, nobody got injured, nobody got pinched, nobody got crushed, so all is good in the neighborhood. So tomorrow we will put the stub axles back together, or the sliding axles back together. We'll put this piece back in and the other side, and we'll put the drive shaft back on. We'll probably be able to remount the sway bar. So I've just got that hanging over here overnight, so that should be nice and dry in the morning. So we're good there. Again, I'm happy with the way that turned out. So it's been a good day. So we'll pack things up here and we'll try to get back out here early tomorrow morning. We'll upload this, and thanks for watching and commenting and subscribing. See you tomorrow.